Greetings everybody, my name is Ben, otherwise known as the Traveller, and welcome to RWBY RWBY episode 4. I think it's First Steps? Yeah, it's First Steps because it's in a two-parter, I remember. Now, kind of before I go into this episode, I'd like to address a comment that was again listed on my last video, which was the Shining Beacon Part 2. Redemption 2, for starters, the He's Behind Me gag, or episode homage part 1 there. Yes, well done for noticing that actually. I kind of went with the Scooby-Doo vibe because I don't know why. Scooby-Doo was on when I got downstairs and I found that kind of came into my head. Second, onesies are not cool, they're warm. Well done for kind of stating the obvious there. You made me get a few laughs out of that. When I read it I kind of laughed my head off and I just literally burst out into tears laughing because I don't know if you got my reference there. It was essentially like the bow ties are cool, except it's onesies are cool. But still funny joke, I gotta admit. Also, thank you again for what the book was, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Does make actual sense. I'm gonna look into that because that seems like the very closest option. I've read it, but not read it recently. The cat cloud fight thing, episode homage 2. Go on, I'll give you that one. Oh, actually, hold on, I know what you mean, the meowing sound. I actually don't know where that came from. Unless Blake was in the middle of that fight, which she wasn't, then in that case, I would definitely understand it 100%. Also, the shameless plug to Monty, come on, I do it once a video. I mean, it's kind of a staple with me now. I'm gonna stop, it's going to be like stuff, I'm going to stop. Also, I didn't know you learned Norse mythology. I know Greek gods and stuff. I'm mostly the dragony type. I like dragony mythology. Dragon mythology. That makes more sense. But yeah, thanks for the comment actually. You got me a load of laughs and a few bits of thinking time. Anyway, on to the review. Well, as I have stated before, meaning this is the next part to when RWBY... The last time we saw our characters, RWBY, Weiss, Blake and Yang were all about to head to sleep. We start this episode with someone who we've never met before randomly wakes someone up and, well, they start having a conversation basically stating that they've had about 24 hours in Beacon and they're not really surprised that they've been here because one of them's the perfect student and the other one's, well, themselves. Everybody, welcome Nora Valkyrie, yes I got the name right, and Lee Wren, I think I got your name right. Now, the homage to Monty, this is going to be funny. It's played by Monty. Actually, this comes back to my first episode where he actually starred, and I did say, I think he said he starred in the episode. Starred, directed, I don't know, probably. But yeah. They start essentially talking to each other about how they should be working together and they will know exactly what to do, where to find each other and how to contact each other, with Nora giving the imitation of "Can you do a sloth?" Huh. I actually do wonder what sloths sound like. I wonder if they even have a noise. Then the scene cuts towards Yang and RWBY, refreshed after last night's cat cloud. I am so going to be quoting that. And Yang actually giving very good, an observation to what RWBY does. I mean, she starts to saying that she doesn't really need anyone and just her weapon. Even though I think we do get after a while that she doesn't like working as a team. I wonder how she has friends. I mean, I'm not being mean, I just wonder how she has friends. Also, hasn't anyone noticed that Yang messes with her hair either when she's nervous or she's thinking about something? Or she keeps her hands very close together? That's the way it usually happens. And then the scene cuts to Jaune. then to the mysterious Spartan woman, and Weiss. This mysterious Spartan woman is named Pyrrha. Yeah, I got nothing, I'm kind of into it. Actually, I'll leave the joke till later. I don't think I need to start sexual innuendos at the moment. Weiss is basically discussing to Pyrrha how she's the top ranking student and them two should team up, and how Weiss basically goes on to this weird evil plot stating, well, the smartest girl in the class combined with the strongest girl in the class, they'll be unstoppable. I don't think that would be right. And then Jaune butts in. Okay, I'm not being mean, but do they have to cram in as many characters during like 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds apart? I mean, okay, then let's just skip onwards, okay? Out of that, it seems to be like we get the first hint towards Jaune and Pyrrha's quote relationship. Not love relationship, friendship relationship. Just friendship, okay? Just friendship. Alright, I can't really understand. I don't know if they're in a relationship. They should be. They do seem like two good characters. Volume 2. No, Volume 3 actually, because that's, I think it's already not done, it's almost incomplete. So we get some more backstory to what who Pyrrha is, being one of the top fighters and has some great weapons, and she also has that one strength, which is her personality, being kind and generous, and always stating a very helpful opinion to people, telling Jaune that he'll probably be a great leader. That again could also be her weakness. Or yet again, she could just throw a spear into it, which I think is cheating, but sometimes I usually feel like I'm getting a spear jabbed into my hood whenever I walk around. I hate being cornered in alleyways. Then after that, I kind of understood how now Yang's actually getting used to Jaune being around, and Ruby's now enjoying the company of Jaune. I wonder what this could turn out to be. Oh well. After that, we get a scene where, okay, seriously, look, you've seen the episode before. This joke has been done to death. But where in the world did they get the idea for those pads? I'm not going to say Apple, because Apple can't be done. I'm going to say Google Nexus. I'm going to be new. RWBY is sponsored by the Google Nexus. Yeah. But we get basically an outside scene of everybody, or in this case is everybody that we've known so far, which is roughly RWBY, Jaune, Yang, Weiss, Pyrrha, and two other characters that we've never met before within that lineup, if I remember correctly. RWBY being upset though that having to pick a team today with the most stupidest idea ever, with Ozpin. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention actually, Ozpin and Goodwitch are actually standing on the cliff side. And why does Ozpin always have a coffee cup? Does he like his coffee extra strong and he can't stop sipping it? Is it too hot? I actually don't get it. Hey, I've also got a very good question. Doesn't Ren and Ozpin look awfully a lot like Monty? I mean, seriously, just think about it now. Monty Ohm could be two characters at once. Kind of like how Luigi has got his weird side and his normal side. CDI games still suck. Anyway, the stupid idea that was given is that they're going to launch them into the Emerald Forest. Okay, they're actually, I'll give him this. I did say in this first episode that physics can be broken. I think this is just flaming ridiculous. I mean, what happens if, you know, you don't have a landing strategy, like Jaune, but you didn't have someone else to help you? Seriously, you could have fell and hurt yourself badly. Imagine that, you just fell and landed like, and broke your leg. But, tragically enough, this is where the episode ends. With a very nice picture of Blake's silhouette within a very nice background where I call it the Blood Red Forest. Or the Cherry Stone Forest. I like the Cherry Stone Forest because it makes it sound Pokemon-y.
Who wrote this fucking garbage? Probably your voice actor.
But yeah, the episode just ended. I'm not going to go within the time limit. I know it's a part 1, part 2 thingy. But it was a little shorter than usual. Or it felt short to me. I'd actually class this to be one of the lowest ranks within the actual Volume 1 itself, coming to the fact that the rest of them either have amazingly good character growth, character introduction, CGI or battle scenes. Or CGI battle scenes, whichever one. I state it of being a very, very low ranked episode. Well, I wouldn't give it as low as a 5 or as high as a 7. Actually, you know what, I may go towards... you know what, I'll tell you about it later. But I'd say that this episode had nothing really that interesting within it, apart from introducing 2 characters, or 3 in this case, because of Pyrrha, introducing 3 characters that are substantial to the plot, and also 2 characters that we'll be seeing later and will have no character growth, apart from being a one-dimensional character itself, and the other 3 being, well, cardboard. We also have questions related to the plot which will be answered within the next episode, and actually some random spin-off videos that were created, one of them being the RWBY Abridged episode. Fun fact actually, that RWBY Abridged episode that featured this exact scene, it was the first ever RWBY Abridged episode I ever saw. I'll give you this, I'll give you a piece of advice. Go watch the RWBY Abridged. It's hilarious comedy. A link will be in the description below. But it's hilarious comedy and takes the mick out of the RWBY series, but in a fun and creative way. Taking the mick out of both the voice actors and the plot, even making it and the CGI, but also making it all make sense in the end. Played well and has actually some more interesting characters. Not than the original cast. The original cast are more interesting than the abridged. No offense. Just stating, you know, higher budget and whatnot. But yeah. I see this episode to be one of the low ranked ones, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. Yet again, not to spoil the whole volume, I wouldn't call any of them worst. But I may as well come to my conclusion than my questions for you guys to answer, because I kind of like to hear what the comments like to think about RWBY, and also like to hear what you guys think about, well, anything related to any question I just said, or even make your own question. I mean, it's not really a problem, it's just a thing I thought I'd ask because it seemed very relevant at the time. So, this episode, it was a very slow start and had very slow ending. It had very good character introductions and actually sustained its plot within a very well trimmed way. If none of you guys understand what I mean by having its plot trimmed in a very nice way, meaning that it kept it smooth and easy to follow, actually believable, well, ish, apart from the part where Ren and Pyrrha, you know, Ren's doing all the stuff and Pyrrha keeps talking. I mean, seriously, they're gonna have to move and then she continues the cutscene. Or continues the dialogue, sorry. I'd give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Yes, I'd give it that. Onto the community though, I kind of want to just get to you now. Within my last episode, apart from what the Redemption 2 said, which I know is the only comment because I'm recording this straight after I uploaded it, I'm going to go back to what you said, what you guys actually stated. The question I had was what the rest of the team would be. Like, if you could create a whole team, who would it be? Well, for starters, Redemption 2. You have a very nice character. I mean, being 6'5" to 7, I'm only 6'3", so I can actually kind of relate to who he is. You went very in-depth, and I do believe you've got a very nice way of structuring who characters are, and I think you're a very nice writer. I am not blushing you before you ask. It's just a very good comment. You are a very good writer, and I think you should keep up with the very descriptive, display that you show within your comments. I mean, I've read like a ton of comments before. You're basically like one of the only 0.5% of the world that can only do constructive feedback. On to another also subscriber that appeared, Recon12100, I think I'm right with that. Sorry if I butchered your name, but I think I'm right with the name there. He said his character would be a guy with a black hood and I think hold on, sorry, I haven't got the comments, so I'm trying to remember them off head because I try to read them more often. You said black hood with blue and gold armor, with black hair, and a battle mask, and his weapon would be a double-barrel shotgun which turns into a chainsaw. Okay, the weapons, I'd give you that, it sounds pretty badass there. That does sound pretty cool. I mean, I can see that happening. I mean, look at Lollipop Chainsaw. It makes no sense, but the weapon is still there, so... I mean, the concept is around, all you just need to do is the design. But I am kind of interested within the character, and I do wish you went more in depth, kind of like how Redemption 2 did with his character. But I like it more or less. Kind of reminds me of my character, except mine looks like me-ish, except my hair... Yeah, actually no, it does look like me. Sorry, I got kind of off track there. Whoops. Anyway, I didn't get to do this joke in the last episode, so here's a picture of 3-4 kittens, depending on how well I edit this and add kittens on here. And, oh yeah, the community question. Snap. Right. 1. Do you think this episode could have been structured differently? And if so, what different plot would you add to this episode? So if you could create an entirely different episode to sit in that slot, now remember, it has to actually make sense. So it has to follow off Shining Beacon Part 2 to the end of the First Step Part... the end of First Step Part 2. So it has to make sense. This question will continue to the end of the First Step Part 2 until I get to the episode 6, where I will then repeat the questions, the answers, sorry, so I would get a more constructive way and actually agree or disagree if your plot makes sense within the timeline there. Second question, related to, I like to see what you guys come up with. So, if you could change any character within the RWBY series that we know of, now the 3 people from Team Cardinal cannot count here because we don't know anything of them. Cardinal can count. The professors, so that's Professor Ozpin, Professor Goodwitch, and the other 2 professors that we know of, they count. RWBY, Jaune, Pyrrha, Weiss, Blake, Yang, Nora, Ren, they all count. You can also add in Crow if you'd like. If you want to add him in the plot, I don't mind. But I just would kind of like to see if you could edit the character in any way, just in any way general. What would it be? Me personally, I don't really have one. I can't decide. I mean, I can't change Yang because I have been watching and I do I do disagree with what I said, so, you know, Yang's a good character. Hooray! Ben agrees! But, yeah, I do agree that she is a good character now, and I can't really decide between any of them, so I guess this is where the episode ends. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to me ramble on for about a couple of minutes, roughly about 20 minutes now if I'm correct. Have a pleasant evening, day, night, whatever time zone you're in, whatever you're doing, have fun while doing it, and I'll hope to see you next time. Kind of feel like I should be going more of the energetic route, just because I feel like I can. Doesn't suit you? Tough, I kind of like it. Energetic seems to be my thing. Anyway, toodle pip or toodles.